Thank you for coming back to Living To Do's review of BelAir, episode 9, Can't Knock the Hustle. Looks like episode 9 is the second to last episode for this BelAir series for season 1, and I understand they've been picked up for an episode or for season 2. Before I get started, please like and share this video and subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. And you can find me on Fanbase, the new monetized app that is out. You can find me on Fanbase under the same name, Living To Do. So let's get started with this review. Episode 9. First scene is Jeffrey and Will. Will is asking Jeffrey about his father, his search for his father, and Jeffrey says it's in the works. So Jeffrey's going to find out some information on Will's father against the advice of Uncle Phil. Actually, Will is getting ready for church, and Jeffrey is helping him with his tie. They're going to church as a family because, Uncle Phil is running for DA, and it's always a good look when these politicians are running for office. All of a sudden, they go to a church service like they've been going, every Sunday. It just looks good. So anyway, they're going to church, and they're walking into church, and who do we see? We see Ivy. Ivy is a influencer, I guess someone that Hillary knows, but it's played by, her name is Karuchi Tran, Chris Brown's girlfriend ex-girlfriend back in the day. She's now turned actress. And apparently she's an influencer like Hillary. She has 10.2 million followers. And Hillary wants to do a collaboration with her. So I don't know if we're going to see more of her. There's only one episode left, or maybe she'll be back in the next season. But she's out there at the church. One thing that was really odd while they were in church, Will is asking Carlton about his dad and if he should, want to seek out information from his dad. And I don't know why it was weird to ask Carlton at this point in time in the middle of church. He rode to church with them. You could have asked him in private at the house, but right in the middle of church, you're going to ask him about this. Hillary and her dad talk in church, I guess during the church service, and her dad has informed her that he was able to take down all the Thirsty Chef videos that were out that she put out there, and she was dressed all skimpy and whatnot, and he was able to have it scrubbed off the internet. Wow, isn't she lucky? So the pastor is speaking, and it looks like the theme of today's service is choose the one that loves you back. I give something for Will to think on. And in this particular service, Carlton will be singing. He will be doing a solo. So he gets up there to do the solo, and Carlton can really sing. He can really sing, but he has stage fright. His voice cracks, he panics, and he runs off the stage. Oh, it was so humiliating, and it was hard to see even. I know it's a TV show, but that is hard. Okay. After church, they're back at the house, and Will is talking to Hillary in the kitchen, and Will tells Hillary about Carlton's drug use. Hillary was unaware. She wants Will to speak to Carlton about it because she doesn't think she would be the best person. As far as Carlton knows, she doesn't know about it. So she wants Will to do it. Will goes to Carlton's room and he speaks to Carlton. And Carlton has excuses of what happened. He said he didn't eat and he felt dizzy. But the thing is, it was anxiety, and I can understand that could be happen to anyone. It was anxiety, and and Will's really concerned that he'll be doing drugs, and he says, he didn't do any drugs, but it does help him to cope with the anxiety feeling. He didn't do drugs that particular day, but my God. Um, he just wants his dad to be proud of him. And I think he let his family down and his dad down, and his dad doesn't even know he's doing drugs. But but Will is so supportive. He wants to help him. He wants to help him carry the load. He wants him to know he's not alone. He says there's no judgment. Oh, I think that's what he needs, to know that somebody's truly in his corner. He's not perfect. He has issues, these flaws, but he has Will, his cousin, who definitely has his back. Um, so, Jeffrey gets back with Will, and he gives him documentation about his father. It's in an envelope. And Will he looks hesitant on opening it. He's thinking about it a lot. As he stands there, as he receives the envelope, he doesn't open it. He has a lot to think about. Next scene, we have Stephen, which is played by Dwayne Martin. He's the campaign manager for Uncle Phil's DA race. And Uncle Phil and Jeffrey in Uncle Phil's office. They're doing debate prep. They're going to have a debate, so he's getting him ready, giving him information about Fred Wilkes, his opponent, some dirt on Fred. He was the police. He is the police chief, and he was having an affair with a woman while his wife was sick, actually dying. And later, that woman became his wife. That mistress, side chick, became his wife, and now they're pregnant with a child. I don't think Uncle Phil wants to use it. He doesn't really want to go after after Fred Wilkes's personal life, but you know, he will if he has to, or I don't know. He's debating it. His team wants him to, or definitely Steven, the campaign manager, wants him to, but I don't think that's what the route that Uncle Phil wants to take. So, Aunt Viv in the next scene, she's going to be she's been offered a fellowship, and I guess she has to go to a meeting to discuss the details further. And who is at the meeting? They're two old heads. They're two people from the original Fresh Prince of BelAir. Will's original mother in the show is playing one of the ladies that she needs to speak to. And another lady, the second Aunt Viv, is playing Janice. She was the second Aunt Viv is Dorothy Maxwell Reed, who replaced the original Aunt Viv in the series. They show up here as two people that are interviewing the current Aunt Viv for her fellowship for her painting. And they asked a question. They wanted to know why she stopped painting. And she said she was sick and tired of fighting battles with people to explain her painting, and fighting men. And the paintings are definitely black paintings, so she's fighting white people to get these paintings shown in a gallery. It was just so much of that. And they asked her what changed. What changed was her son, or not her son, but her nephew, Will, came into town, and he is just, burst of energy. He's a bright light. He came in as himself, unapologetically. He doesn't have to make any excuses for who he is. And she liked that energy that he brought, which encouraged her to paint, gave her inspiration. And when she got the inspiration, she couldn't stop painting, and she started to enjoy it again. So they told her that she was offered the fellowship. They pretty much were going to give it to her, but definitely after she gave the answers that she gave. But they want her to take 24 hours to think it through because there's a lot of commitment with this fellowship. There's travel and speaking engagements, and they need a definite answer in 24 hours, but they want her to take the 24 hours to think over the offer. So that's exactly what she does. Um, Meanwhile, Will went to Uncle Phil with the documentation that he got from Jeffrey and about his father. And right off the bat, Will tells Uncle Phil that he asked Jeffrey for this information, but he doesn't know if he wants to open it. He doesn't want to know. He's not sure he wants to know all this information about his father. That makes Uncle Phil happy. Uncle Phil gives him a hug, and Will tells him, "You are more of a father to me." And Uncle Phil said, "I'll always be here for you." That was such a touching moment. This teenage guy has a successful uncle that truly cares for him, his well-being, and he's there for him in any way he needs. He's the one that got him off his illegal problems when he was back in Philadelphia. His uncle came through for him. So Will next talks to Carlton, and Carlton came downstairs to talk to Will. He was playing piano, and they talked about the drug use, and Carlton said he didn't do drugs that day, that he flushed the drugs down the toilet, and that's a good turning point. Hopefully it stays that way. But I guess Will has been trying to reach out to Lisa, so he asked Carlton, "Have you heard from Lisa?" But since, Lisa and him parted ways, and Lisa's now seeing Will, their communication has pretty much been cut off. So the next scene, we see Lisa talking to her dad, Fred Wilkes, and she's getting in the fight with her dad over Will. And Fred told Lisa to stay away from Will, that Judge Robertson gave him some information about Will, that he thinks Will is a bad guy and he doesn't want Lisa around. And Fred told Lisa that Will was arrested. And Lisa doesn't want to believe that. She sees and knows Will as a good person. And he told Lisa, "You go ask Will. And if he tells you that when you find out the truth, about Will, stay away from Will." He doesn't want his daughter associated with, bad people. But, and I'm not sure what this big old thing was with the court. He shot the gun up in the air, and he didn't kill anybody. My goodness. He didn't even harm anybody. So, the next scene, we have Jeffrey and Uncle Phil. And they're in Uncle Phil's office. And he has Will's paperwork. And so he knows, and Will told him that he asked Jeffrey for it. But Will didn't know that Uncle Phil told Jeffrey not to do it. And he's questioning Jeffrey. Uncle Phil's questioning Jeffrey on why he did it. He told him not to. He said, "I wasn't comfortable with your ask." Uncle Phil says, "You work for me." Jeffrey says, "I protect you and your family." And, he does what's best for the family. And Uncle Phil says he believes he sided with Lou. Lou is Will's dad. That's his dad's name. And for some reason, he feels guilty. And this had something to do with Jeffrey having to leave his son back in Philadelphia, I believe. He left his own son. So we need to get into this a little bit further. What was going on? They're still doing like an overview. They're vague about the situation. What happened? Why did you have to leave your son, Jeffrey, and come support this man and his family? Uh, what happened? Jeffrey knows Uncle Phil all too well. He says he thinks that Uncle Phil does whatever it takes. He needs whatever he has to do at the expense of other people, people who love him, like his family. He gave examples about how his wife had to not do her acting, or not her acting, but her painting. People are giving up a lot so he can have this career as the DA. Right then and there, Uncle Phil fired him. He says he can't trust him. Wow, that's going to raise questions why Jeffrey is all of a sudden gone. He's going to lie to everyone and tell him that he had a family emergency. Even through all that, they hug each other. And I thought Jeffrey was this tough gangster, and he has tears in his eyes because he's leaving now. Oh, that hurt. The guy did what he thought was best for everybody. He knew what this young man was feeling, not having access to his father because he himself left his son behind, so his son doesn't have access to him, and so he was doing what he thought was best. So Uncle Phil talks to Aunt Viv. Because he told Aunt Viv that Will doesn't want to know about his father, which is a relief, but that doesn't really, it might not solve everything because Will's mom might tell Will about his dad. So that still might happen. Aunt Viv asked about Jeffrey. I guess she noticed that he wasn't around and said that Jeffrey had a family emergency, which is weird. I guess to her, family. Maybe she doesn't realize he has family. I don't know how close they are. But good news, she told, well, not good news. She told Uncle Phil that she's questioning accepting the fellowship because so much is going on with her family. You know, Hillary, is doing this. She had this thirsty video out there, and I guess her mother thinks she needs to be, looked after a little bit more, even though they're kind of grown. Carlton with his anxiety, and they don't know about the drugs. And there's something up with Ashley. She was questioning Ashley about supporting the gay rights movement, the LGBT. She was asking the pastor at church, why don't they do more? So, I think she thinks she needs to be around Ashley more. But she's been a home mother to these kids all this time. She can do what she needs to do, travel if she needs to travel, because they're rich. They can get nannies if they need to. But Jeffrey's not there, so that's going to make it harder on them. Oh, next scene we have Lisa. Lisa is ringing at the door. No one's answering, so she lets herself on in. And she sees Will and Carlton, and she's like telling Will, you lied to me. She goes, I don't know who you are. I don't know really why you're here. But she knows that Will has lied to her. Her father has given her information. I guess it's on her phone, and she's showing Will that he's a liar and she can't trust him. And he wanted to talk to her alone, away from Carlton. And he just told her, he didn't want to tell her because he was asked not to tell her by his uncle, and he wanted to respect his uncle's wishes, but he wished he could tell. He did explain that he was back in Philly. He did get arrested. He did shoot a gun up in the air, and his uncle got him out of jail. Somehow this is breaking the law because his friend stepped in, I guess, and got that squashed for him. And she tells Will, my dad knows all this information. They're having a debate tonight, and he's going to use this information in the debate. Ugh, we can't have that. He doesn't want to hurt his uncle's chances for anything. His uncle's been nothing but good to him, and this will definitely hurt him. So at the debate, Will and Carlton are trying to get in the back door to see Uncle Phil before he goes on stage for the debate. Meanwhile, Judge Robertson is talking to Uncle Phil uh, before he gets on stage, and he's not endorsing him. Um, but he was the one that helped get Will out of jail. Well, I don't know why there's no marks on him. I know he's not running for office, but you know, I guess when you that's what they do in politics. One person scratches the other person's back, doing this unlawful, seedy stuff. You get caught up in that. It's just awful. It's best not to be in it because you're just in soot. Okay, so the debate is, Carlton and Will meet with Uncle Phil, and they tell Uncle Phil that Fred Wilkes knows what happened and he's going to use it in the debate. And Uncle Phil says, I have no regrets. You know, he met his family's needs, and he declined to, at the debate, he jumped out of the race because he wants to be with his family, meet their needs, and he just wants everyone to respect their privacy. And he compliments Fred, and he shakes his hand, and he seems really supportive of Fred, because that was the deal in the previous episode. Whoever lost the debate uh, would have to back the other one. So he did the right thing. He was a man enough to know that this was going to get ugly, and why hurt the family and disgrace the family name and embarrass them? Just jump out of the race. So this means that he told Aunt Viv that she can take the fellowship. Family comes first. He fought hard for Will. It was just really his wife's niece or nephew, but in doing so, he gained a son. So it's a win-win for everybody. I hope, of course, this is just the first season. I don't know what they're going to get into next, because now they seem whole, like a happy, healthy family. So something has to go down. But so far, that was it. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was heartwarming. Um, it was nice to see a family just have each other's back. And I think this could happen in real life in some way. It was good inspiration, and um, good episode. That's it for now. So I'll be back next week for episode 10, season finale. But for now, would you please like, share, and comment on this video, and subscribe to the channel? And you can also find me on Fanbase, the new monetized app that is out. You can find me on Fanbase under the same name, Living to Do. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.